Hello, YouTubers. This is Super Tech Man 2000 here with part 2 of the How to Use VirtualBox video series. If you have watched part 1, I showed you how to actually install the VirtualBox application onto your computer. Which, by the way, if you did not see part 1, go ahead and visit my channel where you will find it. I'll also post a link to the video in the video notes below. And now we should move on to part 2. Now that you have the Oracle VM VirtualBox application installed on your computer, now you can go ahead and create your first virtual machine. There are 3 ways to do that. Click New here, Machine New, and there's also a keyboard shortcut, Control N. Those are the 3 ways that you can get into the new virtual machine wizard. Now that you are in the Create Virtual Machine wizard, this is the first screen you'll get where you will put a name for your virtual machine and set your operating system. It defaults as blank, Microsoft Windows, and Windows XP. However, it will automatically change as you type in your virtual machine name. Like, for example, if I type in Windows 7, as you can see, it automatically changed to Windows 7. Now that you have your virtual machine name and operating system set, now you can click Next. This is where you will set your memory that will go to the virtual machine. The recommended memory size of 512 megabytes. That is only recommended if you're going to be using several virtual machines at once. And even that, 512 is not enough to run Windows 7. So if you only use that number if you're going to be running several virtual machines at once. And even then, you can always change it to 1024 and still have enough RAM. But if you're only going to be running one or two virtual machines at once, go ahead and change it. You could adjust it via the slider, or you can do what I'm doing and just type it in here, and it'll automatically change. As you can see, I set it to 2 gigs, or 2048 megabytes. Now that you have your RAM amount set, go ahead and click Next. Now this is where you're going to be creating your virtual hard drive. Now most of you won't have a virtual drive already set, because this is a fresh install I'm using. And this option to do not add a virtual hard drive, that is only useful if you already have one. And even then, there's an option here to use an existing virtual hard drive file. But since I do not have an existing virtual hard drive file, I'm going to create a new one, which is automatically selected. So if it's not, click the second option and click Create. Now here you're going to select your hard drive file type. The first option, the VirtualBox disk image, if you're only going to be using it, if you're only going to be using the hard drive in VirtualBox, leave it at this setting. However, if you're going to be using this virtual machine in other virtual machine software, go ahead and change it to the one that you'll be using, like Virtual Machine Disk for VMware, Virtual Hard Disk for Microsoft Virtual PC, Parallels Hard Disk for Parallels, and QEMU Enhanced Disk or Copy On Write for that software. But since I'm only going to be using this in VirtualBox, I'm going to leave it with the first option, VirtualBox this image, or VDI. Now that you have that set up, go ahead and click Next. Now, this screen will show you where you will ask you whether you want dynamically located or fixed size. You should only use fixed size if you have a very large hard drive, at least 1 terabyte. Because fixed size, while it is faster, it'll take a very long time to create, and it'll take the space right out of your hard drive. If you don't care about speed but care about space, this first option is for you, dynamically located. It starts as a very small file, usually anywhere from a few hundred kilobytes to a few megabytes at the most. And this is really helpful with saving hard drive space, although that will make your virtual drive run slower. But if you don't care about virtual drive speed, leave it on the first option and click Next. This is where you will set your virtual drive name and size. This size, for tutorial purposes, I'm going to leave at the default 25 gigs. However, if you're going to put many applications on your virtual machine, I recommend you change it. But for tutorial purposes, I am just going to leave it at 25 gigs. Now that you have the drive name and size set, go ahead and click Create. And as you can see, your virtual machine is now created. I am not going to show you how to actually install the operating system in the virtual machine. Part 3 will cover how to do that. So, I hope you enjoyed part 2 of the How to Use VirtualBox video series. This is Super Tech Man 2000, heading off the line.